Stewart live in session with Garter Snake. So, Macie, you did just one date in London a few days ago. How was that?
It was so much fun. It was a really good time. It was my first time playing solo in London, and I got to meet Wesley, and I played with another wonderful cello player named Francesca, and it was fun to play with some new musicians and kind of fill out the music. I've been playing solo for the last 2 weeks.
Sure. I mean, and so obviously, as you're saying, you just met Wesley recently and Francesca as well. And so in an ideal world, I mean, you've got a fantastically sophisticated album out there, which is Mouthful of Glass. And when I heard Maya Please, I was just completely swept away with it. And how difficult is it to tour a record like that in the current climate?
It's kind of challenging. I mean, in my ideal world, I would love to tour with an orchestra of people. When I did a release show in Chicago, I played with 2 saxophones, cello, violin, and synthesizers. But I mean, it's hard to travel with more than just myself. I think it was a challenge to try and figure out how to play the record on my own, but also one that was a welcome challenge. I like trying to figure out different ways to play the same material and distill it down to the core of it and figure out what do you need out of all of these elements. Because I think a record is one thing, but then playing it live is a totally different thing. And that's exciting to me.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, it's a shame in a way that you haven't got 12 pairs of hands because you're a multi-instrumentalist and you've been playing piano since the age of 3. So I'm guessing you're pretty damn good at it, but you're not playing it tonight. You're playing guitar.
It's true. Not playing the piano tonight, but I see there's one in here.
There is one. There's always one. In fact, that was brought into our kind of possession when Sparks came and did a session for Marc Riley and myself.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was in the 90s. So once we get something, we don't give it back. That's just a warning for you, really. So how many instruments have you mastered then?
Oh, I don't think I've mastered any of them, but I am trained in piano and violin. Those are kind of my two instruments that I've been playing since I was really young, and I've taken a lot of lessons in both of them. But I also play guitar and I sing. I've been singing since I was really young, and my family's pretty musical, so I was lucky to have that and be surrounded by a lot of different kinds of music. But I would say that those instruments, those are in my wheelhouse. Right,
okay. And you mentioned your mum there. I mean, your mum's still a working musician, very hugely talented, I would imagine.
Yeah, she's wonderful. Sammy Scott. This was her guitar. This is her guitar. She doesn't play it. She got it because it was yellow.
Right. See, now then, you just said this was her guitar, and I thought that you were a thief.
Mine now.
Yeah, a thief like me. But also, I mean, apart from making these own records that sound so wonderful and sophisticated, as I say, you're also a string arranger for various other people like Whitney and SZA.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, I think a lot of the impetus behind making my record, besides the fact that I had these songs, was that I wanted to continue string arranging and figuring out a way to arrange strings. Because the stuff that I did for Whitney and for Drew Barrymore, which was the SZA track that I did strings for, it was just so much fun. I love working with strings, and it's something that makes my heart sing. So I like to keep doing it, and that was something that brought me to making my record.
Right. Well, it's a pity I didn't know you in the 80s, because I made loads of records with a couple of different bands, and I reckon that most records that I've got a cello on it always sound remarkable. So it's just too little too late for me now.
Let's go back in time.
Where have you been?
Time machine.
Where have you been all my life? And you're also in a band as well, aren't you? Phenom?
Yeah, Phenom, yes. Yeah, that's the new name.
Right, okay. And why have you got a new name?
We got a new name because somebody sent us a cease and desist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody named Ohm. That was our old band name. But our new band name is Phenom, and it's a fun project.
Have you got any plans to come over with the band?
Yeah, hopefully soon. We're actually working on a new record right now. We've got it half finished. We've been recording with Jeff Tweedy actually, and kind of making some stuff in Chicago, which has been fun.
Sorry, that was just the sound of a name being dropped there.
We dropped it.
Jeff Tweedy, that's impressive.
You want to hit that one more time?
And so, I mean, Jeff Tweedy, and you've also worked with Sam Evian, who we love dearly on this programme.
He's
such
lovely.
a brilliant, brilliant man. But being from Chicago, have you ever come across John Langford in your travels?
Yeah, I have.
Is Johnny a friend of yours?
He is an acquaintance of mine. Yes, he plays a lot in Chicago, and the Chicago music scene. Even though it's like a really big city and a pretty big music scene, I would say that everyone crosses paths at least once. It feels like a small town in many ways. So yeah, I've met him and his son too.
Right, yeah. Well, he's lads in the band as well, isn't he? I go back to the 80s with John.
Oh, that's so cool.
And he produced some of my records, and he didn't put any cello on it. So when you see him, will you just give him a mouthful from me, will you?
Yes. Yeah,
and send my love as well, obviously. I've enjoyed it so much, enjoyed the chat as well. And so we've got one more tune to come from you, Macie, and also Wesley. So what are you going to do now?
I'm going to play Mouthful of Glass.
Fabulous. Okay, the title track of the album. All right. Macie Stewart, live in session.